Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Chalban shir. I'm excited today. Today we finished, last week, we finished the first mimer of the Sefer. It was about 9 shirim. That's a decent amount. Now, where the Sefer continues to build upon itself, and it continues developing the theme, different aspects to get a comprehensive picture of everything that's going on bismanenu in our days. We're going to be learning about today from the Ramchal, and this is going to set the tone for the next section of the Sefer, the next mimer within the Sefer that one builds upon another, as you will see. And where we're going to be learning from, that he brings in full, from the Mimer HaGeula, from the Ramchal. I don't know if you've ever learned the Mimer HaGeula, but it's an amazing mimer, and many of these works have been translated. So I actually have a translation of the Mimer HaGeula that Feldheim put out. Get it in stores now. Just joking around. Okay. What we're going to be seeing is about the continuous 2 stages of Geula. Shnei, and we're going to jump right in. Shnei Shlabe HaGeula. There are two stages of Geula, right? In the last section, we were developing that there's 2 stages of Geula, of Kibbutz Galias and the bringing in the Das. That's what we were developing, and we're going to see similar. We're going to be, again, building on that theme. We're talking about the national body coming back together in the last, and it needs to be filled with Das. Shnei Shlabe HaGeula. 2 rungs of Geula. Pekida and Zechira. Now, these words are a little bit hard to translate. They're concept words that we're going to be fleshing out. These 2 words, Pekida and Zechira. Hashem pakad es amo, right? And you'll see these words come up all the time, especially when it comes to Geula. And Pekida really means to count, and Zechira really means to remember. But Hashem pakad es amo also means it's a type of remembrance, but it's a different type of remembrance than Zechira. So what are you going to say, Sam?
So I've also heard someone here, when the Rabbanim in the community said the word Zechira, he translates it as focus attention on.
Focused attention?
Focus attention on. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu zoiches something, it's like a focused attention.
From the word zachar, like focus, pointed in a certain direction, I guess.
That's how he understands it, mitzad Hashem.
Interesting, yeah. I like it. Yeah. It's like focused attention. There must be like a good English word for that.
Yeah, you count something. Focus on that, right?
That's focus on the win.
Right.
But Pekida would be...
To be like Hashem pakad es Sarah. Like, so what's the...
Yeah. Read on Rosh Hashanah. Okay. Shnei Shlabe HaGeula Pekida and Zechira. Well, we're going to use the Hebrew terminologies. If anyone thinks of a good English word for these things.
Pikadon in Hebrew, by the way, means a deposit.
A deposit. A pikadon, okay? It's all rooted. Maybe that would be a good word. We'll see.
Hashem pakad et Sarah, right? Uncle was translated as Dechir, which is Zechira.
Zechira.
Which
Yeah.
is interesting, but it's a little different than
Zechira. Maybe I'll look in the translation. I think the translation itself that I have at home of the Mimer HaGeula also translates it as Bekida and Zechira. I think that's the... Okay. Shnei hashlavim shel geula vehevdil beineim muvorm heitiv b'sfarim hakedoshim. The 2 rungs of geula and their differences are explained well in the holy Svarim. Rabbeinu Ramchal herech levaram, and the Ramchal, he expounded upon them. He articulated them. Hu lima chethalich hageula haasida murkav mishnei shlavim hikarim. He taught that the way of redemption in the future is a blend. Comes together, it's a composite of two main stages, 2 main rungs. Shehem nikraim b'Torah, Pekida v'Zechira. And this is what's called in the Torah, Pekida and Zechira v'chein chasuv. Now he quotes directly from the Mimer HaGeula, from the Ramchal. Quote, Da, you should know. Ki legeula nimtzaim shnei zmanim. When it comes to the redemption, there are 2 different types. There are 2 different time periods. Umatza'unam begeulas Mitzrayim ubegeulas Bavel. And we found these time periods in the Geula of Mitzrayim, which again are Parsha connections, and in the Geula of Bavel. V'noda lanu, that's in the times of Ezra. The Geula of Bavel was the Aliyah Shnei in the times of Ezra and Zerubbabel, when they came back to the land. V'noda lanu shechein yeh ba'asida lihigalos b'mher b'yameinu. And it's informed to us and it's known to us that in the same manner, in the future, we will also be redeemed. V'al eile shnei hazmanim ne'emar b'pasuk. And on these two time periods, the pasuk says in Micha, Al tismechi oyavti li, that my enemies shouldn't be happy on me. Zehu zman harishon v'nikre pekida. This, my enemies should not rejoice on me. That is the first part of redemption, which is called pekida. And this is, again, this might sound mysterious, but he's going to clarify everything as we continue. Ki eshev b'choshach Hashem orli hu hasheni v'nikra zechira. And that when I sat in darkness, Hashem illuminated me. That is the second aspect called zechira. Right? So he says right away, he brings from the Ramchal, end quote, that there are two parts to Geula. One part is Pekida, which is what happened in Mitzrayim, and the other part is Zechira, which has happened in Bavel, in times of Ezra. And they're rooted in these psukim. And again, he's going to explain, clarify, and articulate what all this means. Hashlava Rishon Sod HaPekida. The first stage is the secret of Pekida. Romas Bepasuk. Again, now for those listening, now the Chalban is continuing. That was the end of the quote of the Ramchal. Hashlav Harishon Sod HaPekida. The first stage is the secret of Pekida. Ramas Bepasuk, which is hinted to in the pasuk. Al tismechi oyavti li kinafalti kamti. Right? We all know this pasuk. That my enemies should not rejoice in me kinafalti kamti. Why? Because when I fell, I got up. Umavor haRamchal shehu bechinas hidgadlus Hashem b'derech nistaros. And the Ramchal explains that this is the revelation of Hashem, but through nistaros, through hidden ways. Betoch levushe hateva, through the clothing of nature. The ikaro mekuvan letikon hachitzonius. And the main part of al tismechu ayavti li kinafalti kamti, that my Yerida was really an aliyah, that my enemies should not rejoice in me, that is fixing of the chitzonius, of the outer aspects. Sod haguf haleumi, the secret of the national body. Lahakim es Yisrael ma'afar hagalus, to raise Yisrael from the dirt of exile. Lahashiva mipizuram, and return them from their scatteredness. Lahashivam al admasam, and returning them to their land. So the first stage, he's saying, is Pekida, which is the fixing of the chitzonius, which is, he says, is synonymous, and he's going to develop the ingathering of the exiles, bringing our nation from the dirt of Galus and bringing them to our land. That is, and it's nisim nistarim, hidden, Hashem's hanhaga of hiddenness, right? La'acher mikan yavo hashlav haba soda zechira. And afterwards, the next stage that comes, V'hu Ramaz b'pasuk, and it's hidden in this pasuk, Ki eshev b'choshech Hashem orli. That even though I was sitting in darkness, Hashem illuminated me. Shabo tagia ha'ora legiloi ha'behirus. And in that stage, the light, the illumination, comes revealed with great clarity. Ve'yakiru hakol es Hashem Yisbarach, ve'es Yado HaMashalet. And everyone will recognize God and His hand that rules. Ubepekida, av shayu ba inyanim atzumim shel geula. And in the initial stage of Hashem being manhig the world, betoch hateva, from nisim nistaros, and the tikkun of the chitzonius, in the first stage of Pekida, even though there's going to be major things of Geula happening, adayin hu bechinas ki eshev bechoshech. It's still going to be the aspect of I'm sitting in darkness. It means no one's going to recognize that that's what's happening. Shechein od lo ba hoda v'hasaga habehira hela'am. Because in the stage of Pekida, in the first stage of Pekida, the clarity and the knowledge and the das, the perceptions, still is not sent down to our nation. Ki Pekida haisa hitgalus Hashem b'derech nistaros. Because in Pekida, it's the revelation of Hashem, but in a hidden way, in a nister way. Hahasaga hi ha'ur la'adam. And perceptions is light to a person. V'chol od shelo ba'elav. And as long as that light didn't reach that individual, hariu ki yoshev b'choshech. It is like a person is sitting in darkness. Right? So in the first stage, we're going to be sitting in darkness, ki eshev b'choshech. And there's not going to be light within that stage. And that's, right, the Ramchal was about, he explained all Kabbalah, he explained everything through the eyes of Hanhaga, how it relates to us, how Hashem is manhig the world. And there's two Hanhagas of the world. There's the Hanhaga of Pakida, which is Nisim Nistaros, which is hidden. You don't see Hashem's hand in the redemption per se. It's hidden, right? That's sitting in darkness. You can't, right? You're in darkness. There's no light around you. And then there's the Hanhaga of Zechira, which is, we're going to see, is Ma'al Hateva. Nisim is that light gets revealed. There's perception. There's clarity in our lives and in the way that we see the world. And of course, we have to add on here how much we all long for that light, that illumination, to illuminate all the spekas and doubts and complications and confusions in our lives, because ki eshev b'choshech, we're all in a certain way sitting in darkness. And when we receive that light from Hashem, we'll have great clarity. We'll have ein simcha ela haktaris hasfekas. All the doubts, all the confusions, all the inner anxiety and inner angst, fear that we feel will be illuminated. All that is a product of the darkness. And this is what the Ramchal wrote on the Pekida, quote, Aval shnei dvarim tzarech sheteda. These two things you need to know. Shelo husar hahester panim elu lifnai lifnim. In the stage of Pekida, it goes even deeper, that the hester panim is only in lifnai lifnim. It's in a very, very, very hidden way. Means like it's within the deep recesses of a person's subconscious mind. Makom nishmas Yisrael, in the place of nishmas Yisrael, v'lo l'chutz, and it's not on the outside. Ki kol eila ha'oros, because all these lights, v'kol hadvaram ha'eila derech pnimius ha'ma'oros, heim v'lo niru chutza, because all these lights that are shining within a person's soul at the time of Pekida, they are illuminating that person, but yet not to their knowledge. It doesn't radiate outwards. V'al kain lo hegia mehem his oirus v'lo tikun rak liyisrael. And those lights, therefore, they only bring an arousal and a tikun to Yisrael. V'teda, and you should know, shebehair hameoros bezos chemda v'hachuka. And when these lights get illuminated with this desire and longing, az timashech bahem liyisrael ora gedola v'atzuma. Then there will come down, it will be drawn onto Yisrael a big, tremendous light. Al kol nishmasehem, on all their souls. V'afilu shelo nada begiloi, even if it's not revealed on the outside. There'll be an inner, deep longing. Ach nishmasehem kiblu zos b'ha'ara. So there will be a point where Nishmas Yisrael is going to be illuminated with this amazing, amazing light. And it could be that Nishmas Yisrael, and this, he's going to clarify this as we go on, that they don't even know necessarily that they're being illuminated.
Boom. Vashem Paka Detzara. What does Rashi say? Beharayim, with pregnancy. A woman, when she gets pregnant, she doesn't even know that she gets pregnant originally.
Beautiful.
Right? That's what Pekida is. You get a ha'ara from HaKadosh Baruch Hu from above, you're not even aware that.
So it's actually so what's coming out from this is that really Nisim Galuyim is not great, because even Nisim Galuyim you can not even be aware of God. It's like because you're saying the first stage is Pekida.
Yeah.
Pekida's Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is boom. There's this big massive revelation, but like it's not really gone in. It's not really come from within us.
Yeah.
That's
Well, we're going to see about, he's going to develop this as we go on in the Sefer, about everything has an advantage and a downside to it, right? Like when you have open miracles, it takes away a person's bechira, right? And we don't want that. That's a rusa de la sata and a rusa de la mala, right? You guys are looking, you learned about this. Psh, pshita. What? Right? So Erusa de la Ela is the Mnisim Ma'ala Teva from above, and Erusa de la Sata is awakening from below. And we want an awakening from below. Is that Iker, right? This is classic Ramchal, as we're learning now. That is Mesilish Yesharim. We do not want a free handout, the bread of embarrassment, right? We want to be able to work towards this.
And then but that's like quite a huge concept. That's it's huge.
What, the bread of embarrassment?
No, this concept of, because everybody or people, the layman generally wants to be just open, show me your face, God, and everyone you want that, but really it's not good for you because it's not coming from within.
It's not the healthier way.
Yeah,
right?
but that's what people are longing for, the unhealthy.
Yeah. I get it. Everyone just wants to be saved and rescued. And you have to ask yourself, like a lot of times when you're talking, sometimes I feel, sometimes I fall into this trap myself. It's like, oh, we just want Mashiach to come and end all suffering. It's like, is that coming from a place of giving up? You know what I'm saying? Is it coming from a deep sense of yish, like, Mashiach will come? And, it's like someone was telling me that, an individual that I was working with was telling me that he comes from a Holocaust family, and his father every time was a Mashiach should helfen, Mashiach's helfen, Mashiach should help, Mashiach should help, Mashiach should help. It's like, that was his father's way of dealing with anxiety, was blaming Mashiach for everything, and it's like, if it's coming as a coping mechanism from like this deep sense of giving up, or is it like, no, we want to put our minds to the test, we want to roll up our sleeves, the aversion to hard work, we want to put the pedal to the metal, we want to try to think through complications, and then Hashem will meet us, and we're going to see this is part and parcel with the stages of Bekida and Zechira as we're kind of discussing out with each other.
I think also the point that Chazal said with Sarah, with pregnancy, that describes being Sarah. B'nei Ibar, we were like in the
Uber B'nei Ima.
We were like in the womb.
Beautiful.
Similar to like Sarah, it's the same thing. We were literally totally covered.
Yeah.
That's the pasuk says. Pakod pakadeti etchem ve'asui lachem b'Mitzrayim. Ve'asui what was done to you in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is tzar, like you're mentioning, narrowness.
The birth
You're
canal.
like you're locked in. You're surrounded by.
Boom. Bishop.
V'zuhi ha'pekida, she ha'aras ha'penimius ha'neshama. And this is pekida, which is this deep within the inner subconscious of man's being, of the soul. Shelo nada begiloi la'adam v'la'sagaso. And it's so deep. It's like, Freudian theory, like there's the ego and the super ego. It's like deep lahavdil, lahavdil, I should add a lahavdil. Like deep within this recesses of man's soul and deep within their subconscious, there is this light illuminating them, driving us. It's like when all these stuff happened during COVID and the riots and all these things, like it's just like what I saw is just the world raging for redemption, the world raging for Geula, and it came out, of course, in a destructive way, but it's like deep within the inner recesses of mankind, there's this deep sense of unrest and longing because everyone just is meshugana for Geula. The whole world wants Geula, Shelo nada begila l'avnu l'sagaso v'la'achareya tavo zechira. And afterwards comes Zechira. She hofat Hashem begiloi k'divrei Ramchal, which is Hashem's mamish revealing himself. Quote from the Ramchal. V'ata achel lefaresh inyan hazechira hetiv. And now we will begin to explain the stage of Zechira well. Kasuv, it says, Vayah Hashem lamelech al kol haaretz. On that day, Hashem will be king of all earth. Zeu tachlis hatova hashalom. This is the tachlis. This is the purpose of the goodness. V'ashalom shavtiach hakadosh baruch hu. Shimshon. Welcome. It's always a pleasure. Tachlis hatova v'hashalom she'avtiach HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael she'is angu bo la'asud lavo. And this is the ultimate purpose. This is the main thing, like we mentioned a second ago, that will get oneg from Hashem in the future. V'havin, and understand, ki lo amar v'ayah Hashem melech. It doesn't say that Hashem will be melech, ela li melech. Hashem will be the king. It's like emphasis. Hashem will be to king, or Hashem will, can't translate that exactly. Just there's a lamed in front of it. The inyan ki, and the inyan is la'asid lavo yusor hara min aklipa. In the future, the ra, evil, will be removed from his husks. Uma sheyishar mimenu yashuv tachas avodas hakadosha, and whatever is left over once Hashem's or is revealed and the ra is completely eradicated. Whatever remains will be subsumed and absorbed into holiness. And we will all see that Kedusha is the source and true source of all life. And Hashem is the boss. Hashem is the master of everything. The Alkin, it's like Rabbi Nachman explains in lesson 12 in Aye in Likutei Moharan, in the second chelek of Likutei Moharan, this famous lesson about how there's a Maimer Sasam, there's a hidden Maimer, and the whole world is sustained by the Maimer Sasam, the Maimer of Bereshis. Even the most evil places still have a very, very high, potent level of Kedusha, like the incognito tab, goes subterfuge, that very, very dark places have a very, very high, potent level of Kedusha.
What does it mean, Ra from Klipa, that the Klipa's keeping the Ra down?
It's like if you, every Klipa has within it a husk of Kedusha. A Klipa is like a shell, so inside the shell, there is the nugget. There's the nut.
So you think the Ra is removed from the Klipa?
So it means an expression, meaning to say that it's going to be the Kedusha is going to be revealed, and the evil is going to show its true face and dissipate. That's what it means. The Ra is going to be...
it can only exist if you can't see its true face.
Correct. Meaning to say, when the Kedusha within inside something gets revealed, so then the Ra becomes eradicated. It's like the Ramad Wali, who's the main student of the Ramchal, Yuri. I know you know all Yuradas Kaver. I hope Zocha one day to be there, right? And he writes throughout Sefer Yehoshua that Yehoshua's avoda was, again, to bring the Ra out of its klipa, so to speak, and be mamshech, take the klipas noga and be mahapech to Kedusha. Means this is a little bit off topic, but since we're talking about this, right? Meaning to say that you had the Zion Amim on Eretz Yisrael, and Yehoshua's whole avoda, he explains this really pasuk by pasuk throughout the entire thematic of Sefer Yehoshua, that Yehoshua's whole thing was that he had to take the klipas noga, which is the swing klipa, and he had to flip it to the side of Kedusha. And by doing that is through eradicating the Ra, which was the Zion Amimim, which corresponds to the klipas tameas, the seven spheros, but the dark side of the seven spheros, right? That had to be mahapechet and bring it over to the side of Kedusha by eradicating the Zion Amimim that's on the land, right? And that's one of the reasons why Yehoshua married Rachav, because Rachav's whole thing was that Yehoshua's whole avoda was to be mahapech the klipas to Kedusha by elevating it and bringing it towards Hashem. Oh, we have a special guest today. Hello, Benny. What's going on? It's out of breath. It's okay, don't worry, Sammy. Okay, weiter in the Ramchal. V'al kein, Omar, therefore it says, V'haya Hashem limelech al kol haaretz. That, therefore it says Hashem will be the king, with the lamed emphasis. Ki melech kol haaretz, kvarhu ukvar haya tamid. Because a king, that he always was. He is now the melech, the king, and he always was the king. Ki ein shum nivra poa below reshusol klal. Because nothing swings, nothing goes without Hashem's word. Elishe ein kol ha'avada makirnoso. But not all his servants recognize that Hashem is the source of Kedusha. V'la'asad lavo yakuru hako v'yishtabdu elav miritzono. But la'asad lavo, everyone will recognize that Hashem is the king and will all be subsumed to his will. V'hu masha nemar, and this is what it says, ki az epoch ela amim, right? That then all the nations will flip, right? And that's when it says they'll speak Safa Brura. Then all the nations will flip to speak Hebrew. V'lechein amar v'haya Hashem lamelech, and that's what it says. Hashem will be the king. Ki yakiru la'amitu v'yizakaru b'shmo d'rachav. That Hashem will be the king, that everyone will recognize Hashem and remember His name and His ways. V'yiskabo or tamid v'habrachos titchashena b'chol sha'ah b'rov shalom v'simcha. And it will be strengthened in light and blessing, will find renewal at every moment with peace and joy. Kevan shetukan habriya kula v'harash v'klipa yichle v'atov yimshach achar ha'kedusha karoe. Because at that time the bria, the entire creation, will come to its final tikkun, its true rectification, and the ra, all evil, will dissipate, and the tov itself will be drawn towards kedusha. V'hu sod garim gerurim him. And this is what it says, that in the future, right, in the times of Mashiach, there'll be converts. Hine az yevade lechol ki lo yesh rak shoresh echad yachid miyuchad. Because then everyone will know in the future, right? There's the Inyan that there'll be gerim, that the Inyan of gerim, of people all around the world being Jewish, is showing that there's one God, there's one source of Kedusha, and everyone's going to be recognizing Him. Hu Elokeinu ve'enod acher. He is our God, and there's no one else. V'lechein yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Therefore, is everything okay, Sammy? Therefore, His name, Hashem, is one, and His name will be one. So what's going to happen? Right now, Hashem is the king. Everyone right? Hashem was the king and is the king. But what happens? We don't recognize Him as the king. But in the future, when the world reaches its final tikkun, right? This is in this of Zechira, then everyone, Hashem will be limelech. Hashem He'll be the recognized king of all the world. And everyone will know that Hashem echad u'shmo echad. Everyone with me so far? Reading a little further. The Hine Mavur. It's always like this, like when you start like a new section within the mimer, it paints the picture, you know? Hine Mavur shazachirhi inyan his galus Hashem bebehiris. So as this is clear, right, that the stage of Zechira is Hashem's, his galus Hashem with clarity. She'akira kol meluchaso v'lishatono. Right, that everyone will recognize His kingship and His rule. V'yofia or b'asaga ha'me'ira. And the light will be illuminating with great perceptions. V'yasoda hevdo bein ha'pekida v'zechir mehusim uvor Ramchal v'zu lashana. And the difference between Pekida and Zechira, Ramchal explains in his Lashon, and I quote, V'teda shahapekida al yidei ha'yesod. Now he speaks a little bit more Kabbalah over here, that the stage of Pekida happens through Yesod. And the Chalban is gonna, as we learn further, he's gonna explain all this, and he's gonna really be mavar what all this means. That Pekida happens through Yesod, which is the sixth Sfira. The Giloi has Zechira al Yidei Tiferes. And the stage of the revelation of Zechira happens through the Sfira of Tiferes. V'lechein, right, we're going to see how the Midas HaYesod corresponds to Yosef HaTzadik. That Yosef HaTzadik, he was Midas HaYesod, it has to do also with Man de Nasar Bris, right, is also called a Tzadik. And the Yesod is the earth, right? Tzadik Yesod Olam, right, that's the Tzadik, he's connected to the earth. The Tzadik has magnetism, certain gravity, and the Yesod means foundation, root. And we're going to see that the Midas HaYesod has to do with Hashem's Nisim B'toch HaTeva. That's the foundational way in which Hashem is manhig the world. And that's going to be synonymous with the stage of Pekida, which is Yosef HaTzadik, who rose to power through natural process, right? And then we're going to see how Zechira has to do with Torah and David HaMelech. This is going to be a chiluk. He's going to explain Leah and Rachel right? Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben Yosef. And that's really what we're going to come to explain, all these aspects. V'lechein, again, it's weiter in the Ramchal. V'lechein nimsa koach l'Mashiach ben Yosef. And therefore, we're going to have strength, koach to Mashiach ben Yosef. V'Mashiach ben David, b'shtei pu'ulos l'kabel koach la'asos chayo l'geula hasida. And therefore, we're going to receive energy, light, from Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, which these processes and the light of Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef is synonymous, as we're going to see, of the light of Pekida and the light of Zechira. End quote from the Ramchal. The Chalban picks up. HaRamchal mivur sheshnei hashlavim halalu hem shtei madrego shel shefa sheyeiru b'shchina sod knesses Yisrael. The Ramchal is explaining that these two stages, these two levels, are levels of energy, levels of shefa, level of divine flow, that it's going to be illuminating the Shechina, which is going to be illuminating Yisrael. Ki hinei shorish ha'ge'ulahu or elyon me'es Hashem yisbarach, because the root of Geula is elevated light coming down from Hashem. Shepokedes hashchina v'nosin ba'koach lakum, that Hashem is poked the Shechina. Again, it's a hard word to translate. Maybe we'll think of a better way to translate this word. That Hashem is poked the Shechina and gives koach to raise. And this Pekida is an aspect of the influence that comes from the Amidas HaYesod, right? There's Ve'azachira hi shefa haba memidas hatiferes. And Zechida comes from the Midah of Tiferes. Again, he's going to explain all this, right? There's Chesed Gvura Tiferes, Netzach Hod Yesod, and Malchus, right? That's the Zer Anpin with the Nukva, those lower spheros of Chesed Gvura Tiferes, Netzach Hod Yesod. That's called the Zer Anpin. And then there's the Malchus, which is, it's called the Malchus, right? So the Malchus is the Zachar and the Nukva, that there's going to be a unity. And Yesod is really takes everything, and it's like a pipeline, right? It's and traverses everything and brings into the Malchus. That's Hashem Lamelech, right? So we're gonna delve into what this means and why Midas Tiferes exactly. We're gonna see Tiferes is synonymous with the Torah, right? Hayesod ve'eschiri hi shefahu bechinas Midas Tiferes. Hayesod hi bechinas hashefa mislavish b'tarchei hateva. And Yesod means is the shefa shemislavish b'darchei hateva, which is shefa that is revealed but in nature. Ve'ikaro noed lebinyan haguf. And this is, he's bringing back to the first point we started with, and the main thing is the building of the body, right? Which is the tikkun hachitzonius. This is what we started with, building the externalities. Vehu kedugmas Yosef, and this is like Yosef. Shaya murkava lemidas hayesod. That Yosef HaTzadik was the chariot for the midas hayesod. Shekopa ulaso ba l'vushay teva. That Yosef, he had these dreams, and then his brothers went to kill him, and they sold him, and rung by rung, even though there were no open miracles happening, Hashem was manhig every single thing in his life that was happening, only to bring him to one point, for him to be the head honcho, the second in the command. But yet, it was a miracle, but yet there were no nisim guluyim. There were no revealed miracles, there was no dam, there was no svardeya, there was no kinam. It was the shefa being manhig, b'toch hateva, and that's the most foundational shefa that there is, which is the midas hayesod, which is the root and the foundation. The ikar hashefa shenasan liyisrael hu mazon b'kiyim legufam, and this midas hayesod is the main shefa that Klal Yisrael gets to sustain their bodies. Leumaso hatiferes hu sod hatorah, and in contrast, Tiferes is the sod hatorah. V'hu bechinas his galus elokus begiloi. The Torah is Hashem's revelation begiloi. V'hu bechinas hashefa hameir, and this is the shefa that comes down, hamamla das v'asaga behiras begdulas Hashem, that fills man's mind with clarity and the greatness of God. Like the Torah itself is like Hashem shefa put all the way down to us. And this is what the Ramchal explains in another place in Sefer Kinas Hashem Tzavakos. He says, and I again quote from the Ramchal, "V'nimsa b'kan shnayim srichim tikun." And it comes out that there are two things that need tikkun. Echad hachitzonius, right? You need the chitzonius, the externalities. Sheyuchol ischaber bo hapnimius. That the kalim need to be fitting in order for the orot, in order to be enter, right? You have to have the chitzonius, that it should be able to join and unite with the pnimius. The echad hapnimius, sheischaber bechitzonius. But the pnimius also needs a tikkun, that it needs to be miyached, that it should be machaber to the chitzonius. Ubetzod hachitzonius niskanim kol inyane hagalos kulam v'geulasam. And the secret of the chitzonius is everything gets fixed. Kol inyane hagalos kulam v'geulasam, that the entire galus, the entire chitzonius of the galus, right, of the exile gets fixed and it gets prepared, it gets machshir in order to be redeemed. Sheshleimusa hi chibor hapenimis b'chitzonius, because the main thing is that the or should fit in the keli, right? And that when you have a tikkun hachitzonius, when you have oros and kalim, and you have the tikkas hachitzonius, and the light should go into the vessel needs to be ruy in order to hold that light. V'zeh inyan hashnei mashiachim, right? And this is the inyan of two Mashiachs. Ki Mashiach ben Yosef hu besod hasmol, right? And Mashiach ben Yosef comes from the left side. V'hu besod chitzonius hatzarach lechol hatikunam ha'ela, right? Which is the secret of chitzonius, right? That needs to happen. It needs to be prepared in order for light to enter into it. Mashiach ben David hu besod yamin. And Mashiach ben David, again, some of this is heavy Kabbalah stuff, we're just reading over it, right? Mashiach ben David hu besod hayamin. Mashiach ben David comes from the right side. Hatzarch shem ischaber alav v'geula shlema. That needs to join with the left side. You have to have the zachar and the nukva, right? You have to have them unite as one. That you have orat and kalim. You have light and vessels. That the vessel needs to be prepared, and the light needs also to be prepared in a certain way, that it should be able to enter the vessel in order to fill it. And that's why you have a union of Mashiach ben David and Mashiach ben Yosef, right? This is what it says in the famous prophecy in Yechezkel 37, right? We focused on the first half of the prophecy that talks about how there's going to be, right, the whole Bash year, we're focusing on just a few psukim in Yechezkel 37. He didn't bring the end of the psukim. The end of the psukim talk about there's going to be a union between Ephraim and Manasseh, right? There's going to be a stick.
Tablets. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That there's going to be a stick, and that stick is going to unite of the world of Mashiach ben David, the world of Mashiach ben Yosef. That there's going to be a union. There's going to be a hischabros of Oros and Kalim, of Tikkun HaChitzonius with the Tikkun HaPnimius. And those things are going to unite and join as one stick. And that's when we're all going to say, V'yashem lamelech al kol haaretz. That it's not just going to be that Hashem is the boss, and we kind of know that, but we don't necessarily see that. This is going to be Mashiach ben David, Oros al Yonim, that come down, that everyone is going to recognize that Hashem is, it's not just going to be, we'll all know, and we'll all experience. We'll have the experience of understanding Hashem's game. We're just going to read a little further, and then we'll finish for today. And that was the end quote of the Ramchal, weiter in the Chalban. Hinei Muvor Ramchal explains, Sheso tikkun bechitzonius kol isyane hagalos kulam v'gulasam. That the secret of fixing the chitzonius, right, of fixing the kalim, the vessels, that contains everything, is in that. It means it's not a small deal. The hainu hayitzia mehagalus. And this is going out from galus. Right? So when you have the sod hachitzonius fixed, that brings towards that ushers in the stage of the oros coming in. V'sod tikkun hapanimius Mashiach ben David hu hageula shlema. And the tikkun hapanimius of Mashiach ben David is the geula shlema. Shehi chibur hapanimius bechitzonius, right? Which is the union of the chibur of the panimius and chitzonius. And the Ramchal continues to write, quote, Ubehagia es leikanis beuvia shel kora be'ela hatikunim. And when it comes times to enter into the thickness of these walls, or that's an expression of these tikunim, v'hainu beYaakov shehu bechir sheba avos, me'ein shufar da'adam, which is Yaakov Avinu, who was the choicest of the avos, who had the appearance of Adam Harishon, resemblance of Adam Rishon. Misham hala nimsa inyan shnei Mashiachan ha'ela holach u'mzdamim. From that point onwards was the revelation of these two Mashiachs and their appearance. V'zeh ki hu lakach shtei nashim Leah u'Rachel. Right? And this is, right, this all has to do with Tikkun Chatzos, right? The Shtei Tikkunim, Tikkun Leah, Tikkun Rachel, right? V'zehu ki lakach shtei nashim Leah u'Rachel. Because he took two wives, V'sodom Panemius v'Chitzonius Hashchina. And these Tikkun Leah and Tikkun Rachel have to do with the Chitzonius and the Panemius of the Shechina. Umeleah hayatzarich letzeitz Mashiach ben David v'Tikkun haPanemius. And from Leah had to be that David comes from Leah, because Leah, right? Yodi, I know you learn Rav Tzaddik, right? Leah is the Olam de Eskasia. Leah is the hidden world. Leah is the world of Panemius. Leah is the world in a very hidden way. Rachel Mashiach ben Yosef. But Rachel is the aspect of Mashiach ben Yosef l'tikkun hachitzonius, right? Rachel looked beautiful, right? Leah was crying her eyes out, right? And Rachel looked, in a certain way, looked beautiful, right? And that was Yosef. He beautified himself. He used to wear nice clothing. He used to gel his hair, shtickle, right?
Our introduction to Leah is under the veil, where our introduction to Rachel is out at the well, kissing Yaakov.
It's beautiful. That's right. She was veiled and clothed, right? Covered up. Pnimi. Yosef. And that's Yosef. Shelo nitna bechina zu Mashiach ben Yosef l'tikin. Right? And that was given to Yosef, which is the aspect, which is Mashiach ben Yosef, right? L'takin. That was his avoda to fix the chitzonius. Kinizkor le'el. Vil Yehuda bechinas Mashiach ben David, and Yehuda comes Mashiach ben David, which comes from Leah. V'heim shnehem melachim, and these two were kings. Besod ki hinei melachim no'adu. Like the pasuk says, kings were known. Kimavor b'medrash, like the medrash explains. V'tavin gam kain shemashiach ben David hu b'tiferes. That Mashiach ben David comes from the aspect of Tiferes, right? Tiferes is beauty, right? Tiferes is beauty. It's that aspect. V'hu hazachar besod panemius ha'omed leneged Leah, right? And that's the zachar in contrast to Leah. Mashiach ben Yosef b'yesod besod chitzonius ha'omed leneged Rachel. And Mashiach ben Yosef is the sod of Panemius, which needs to unite. V'hinei. We'll read a little bit more, and then we'll finish for today. And all these things are going to be the topic of the next bunch of little bit in the Sefer. So we're kind of blowing it open today. V'hinei le'or dvarim elu muvan heitiv sod ha'geula. And it comes out with great clarity. It's explained the secret of Geula. Shahachel b'sod tikkun chatzonius. That will happen first from the tikkun hachitzonius. V'aydayin anu bebechinas ki esha b'choshech. And we're still in the place of I'm sitting in darkness. B'muvan she'ein hadavar magia la'asog b'hiras das Hashem. Like we all understand, we don't say Hashem with perfect clarity, like it will be in the times of Mashiach ben David. Ki zeh davar hashayich litzod tikkun hapanemius, because this is something that's the time period wherein is the time of tikkun hapanemius, sod hatiferes, sod haTorah, sod hashefa shabba b'giloi. Lefikach az af shena'asu maisim kabirim va'atzumim b'sod chitzonius. Therefore, even though we've shenasu maisim kabirim, even though we have done very strong, great, tremendous actions in the sod of the chitzonius, shekamnu mimavis l'chaim, that we've aroused ourselves, right? We have Eretz Yisrael, we have buildings, we have the tikkun hachitzonius, right? That we've been brought from death to life. Uma'afar hashoa la'am hayoshev ba'artzo hamishagesheget. Hamisagseget. And that we were taken from the Holocaust to a land, to a nation that has our land, who has perceptions and understanding. Nevertheless, the clarity has not come to our nation. V'hu einenu masig es tiv ma'aseh hagadol asher asa Hashem imo. We don't understand the tremendous greatness and tova that Hashem has done to us. L'hashivu l'chadesh yamav kekedem. We don't fully recognize the tova that we were brought onto our land, that Hashem has began to renew our days of old, that we're back on our land. Because it's hidden. It's the tikkun achitzonius. V'lechein kamen b'nei adam, therefore people get up. Ubibdimyonos shava v'chizyonos porchim ba'im l'sartet et kumastanu kedavar she'ein bo neshama v'ruach. Therefore people get up and they talk about us as if there's no spirit, there's no neshama. Ela guf levado ve'am kekol hagayim. They think we need to be a nation. We're just the body without a soul. And we need to be a nation, like all these people. He's talking against these people. V'chol kalil yachluf. No, this will certainly flip. Ki tavo chachma b'leiv ha'am. Because wisdom is going to come to our nation. V'das l'nafsho yina'im. And the inner knowledge within their own souls will sweeten them. L'hakir es shem Hashem ha'mefurish. To recognize Hashem's explicit revealed name. Sod ha'zechira. Sod hadas es Hashem. The secret of knowing God. V'hu yeh begiloi pnimius haTorah. And as we're learning, there's going to be a giloi of pnimius haTorah, which is Exhibit A, our shir. Shehi rucha de malka de Mashiach, which is the spirit of the King Mashiach, the malka de Mashiach. V'yikavim banu akasuv, and that we hope for this pasuk. Ha'am ha'holech b'choshech, the nation that walks in darkness, ra'o or gadol. We'll see a tremendous light. So we wait for the days of the uniting of Mashiach ben Yosef with Mashiach ben David. We wait for the days where instead of us fumbling in darkness, trying to figure out how to eat, trying to figure out what's a fork, what's a knife, fumbling through life, walking in darkness, we wait for the day of Mashiach ben David, when all will know, all will truly experience the experience of God, the entire world. And now we're in this tikkun. We wait for the day of the union of Leah and Rachel, right? We wait for that day of Schabras, the Chitzonis with the Pinim. So all the Kalim will be metukan, will be fixed and ruy for the Shefa in order to enter. With that, everyone, we wish you all good Shabbos.